There's some days when I want to make a video, but I don't know exactly like what I want to say. And that's like a terrible intro. That flies in the face of all YouTube strategy, all hooks to just say that out loud. But really, really, so last week, I think last week I made a video about how like these dips are when you like hit your stacking goals. And then a few months ago I made a video about like there's nothing else to say about Bitcoin. And it's weird. I even though like the exchange rate is like up today, I'm still in that kind of like more of like on the scale of super hyped up to like kind of more just neutral today. I'm more just like neutral. And I think it's because of all of just the news that came out like over the last weekend. It's very like, I have a lot of respect for people that make videos very around the news and like keeping people updated and things like that. Because I don't like following like the news cycle like that. I don't like following the news cycle. Obviously, if things like it's impossible to not. It's impossible to be like so fully disconnected from it. Like, and I'm not one of those that's like, oh, like fully disconnect from the news cycle like at all, because it does matter. Like it matters. The same way I've said like the exchange rate matters. The exchange rate of USD to Bitcoin matters. The news matters. Politics matters. Like these are real decisions that are made that have real impact on businesses and Bitcoin and individuals. And so, no, like the news matters and the exchange rate matters. So what is there to say about it? Like, what is there to say about it? Like, what's like I guess I could like, there's no hot take. I don't have any hot take like loading for the day. And I guess that's where I'm just like, I'm like searching for that hot take to share that's like would actually like punch through. And I don't know what that is right now. The closest thing I think I've got is that it's good that Bitcoin reacts so fast to news. Like it's good that Bitcoin trades 24/7, 365, fully open, like fully liquid around the entire world, because there's nothing else that has like fully exists like that to kind of give a reading of how people are reacting to, crazy and wild things happening in the world. I saw the stat like a while ago where it was like, because the amount of years that Bitcoin has been trading, again, 24/7, 365, if you actually look at the hours that it has been available open for trading, it's either like very close or has already beaten the stock market. So if you take that as a like measurement for how deep the market is, for how many hours it's constantly trading, again, against every fiat in the world, it's a really deep market. Like it's a really deep market, active all the time. And so it's good that it reacts in kind of the volatile way it does to good news and bad news. And I just thought of this, like here's a thought like developing in real time. It's almost like, because Bitcoin absorbs the volatility of the news and of all of the information happening in the world, that almost removes my need to constantly be on the roller coaster of the news also, because like I've already made the decision to hold Bitcoin instead of fiat money. Like I've already chosen to do that. Like that has already proven to be the correct decision in my life for, me as an individual, me as a family, and I then believe like for society. Like I believe a super positive move for society is to more and more have Bitcoin deeper into the finances rather than fiat money. And so having that global 24/7, 365 across all currencies trading that then can constantly be reacting to all of the news in the world, almost removes the burden from then me as the individual to have to be on the kind of like rage cycle and kind of dopamine cycle that the news does put you on. And I'm honestly thankful for that. Like I'm thankful for that, to not have to, again, it's such like I'm not talking out both sides of my mouth, because yes, the news does matter. Like there's very like real things happening in the world that have a very real impact on individuals and on businesses. But the fact that I've already made this like top level decision that is insulating me from needing to react to the news. Like, I don't have to then on Monday morning be making like really serious like investment decisions based on kind of like macroeconomic and political things that are shifting, because I've already chosen to use like that, like a non-debasable, politically neutral money. So my like wealth is not directly correlated to the stock market. It's not directly correlated to, you know, mortgage rates. It's not directly correlated to like mortgage securities or whatever. Like, and again, not saying, and all, because all of those things have their own unique reaction to macroeconomics and to political events. I think like the two macro econ guys that I like following the most are Jim Bianco and what's the other guy's name? Jim Bianco and hold on, I'll get it. Luke Gromen. I should have known that. Jim Bianco and Luke Gromen. And Luke Gromen, I think, said, I think it was his quote, some podcast years ago, was basically like, you know, you're now having to answer political questions, like in your investments now. Like, it's not just about economic questions. You're now having to answer political questions, and answering political questions are like in a lot of ways way harder than answering economic, questions. Another example was, Peter Thiel at Bitcoin 2022. I always kind of like bring up this quote, and it's because I was like in the audience, like watching him this day, and it was like, it sticks out to me, but it talks about the stock market is quasi-government controlled. And so for all of those reasons, like all investing in the news, investing in politics is like very much connected. And so the kind of what I'm realizing in real time today as an individual kind of absorbing the news and thinking about, my investments and my like future and family's future and the country's future and things like that, is that like it's just another reason why having the base money that I choose to operate my life on not be directly correlated with the kind of like those activities that are outside of my control makes me feel better. Like, that does make me feel safer. Now, like, okay, now is it impacted? Absolutely. Like, yes, it's absolutely impacted, but I would go so far as to say that it's not directly correlated. Like, I do believe that of all the investment decisions out there, of all the base money, of all the investments that you could make, the one that is the most provably neutral and provably, I guess, separate from the current status quo, like, is Bitcoin. There's no real zinger conclusion other than the fact that I think, again, self-reflecting for a moment, this is the most I think I've felt balanced in my personal life between being connected to the news cycle and being disconnected from the news cycle. I think because I've gone through both. I've gone through both ends of the spectrum of like being super engaged with it, putting out like tweets immediately as it's happening and like trying to really be a part of like just shaping the consciousness or whatever, and like letting it kind of affect my like thoughts in the like very instant moment that like different like world changing things are happening. And then at the other end of the spectrum of just being so completely disengaged with it that like, seeing news clips would like really bother me, and I'd have to like turn off cable television if I was ever, or like I couldn't eat in a restaurant where there's like cable television because it would just like mess with my brain so much. Like, just self-reflecting, like I think I'm in the kind of like best balance I've ever been between both of those worlds of just like, I'm honestly just like thankful to be alive and really interested in being a like personal positive force in the current environment, sharing what I do know about Bitcoin and sharing kind of just my thoughts of how I use it in my personal life and in my finances, and how I think it's shaping, my ability to be a positive force in a really like complex world.